have this vivid memory of sitting in the bathtub one time and just crying.
I think I punched my dad once.
You're not in charge of me right now. Like, you just won't leave me alone.
I had an epidural in my back, so I couldn't move very well.
She just wanted me to keep pushing and keep going.
Everybody had one. Like, if you didn't have one, you were looked down upon.
This is a show where teenagers share their experiences growing up in today's world. I'm your host, Dr. RJ, and this is A Teen's Perspective.
What I have planned for us today is a Q&A. So if you have any question about life in general, I don't care what it is, or something you need help with, or something you want to know, this is the time to ask it. You could ask me in a chat. You could type it to everybody, or you could type it to me privately, whatever is easier for you. If it's a private chat, then I won't share your name, obviously, but I'm going to address those questions. And it could be generic things for everybody, or it could be specific, because we could always share information in a way where everyone gets value from it. All right, so I see a couple questions coming in. I'm going to give you guys a few more minutes. Just any question you could think of that you want to know the answer to, just type it to me and I will address it. So far, we have about 4 or 5 questions. So I'm going to go through all these. So I'm going to answer these questions. If you guys come up with something, just give it to me, all right? Just type it in there. I'm going to address it. All right, let's go down the line. Here we go. I'm going to drop some knowledge for you guys here. We're going to start off with the first question, which is, my friend Daniel says, how do you find a passion? That's a great question. That's a wonderful question. So how do you find your passion? So the way I see passion is something that you do where you just notice that time ceased to exist. So if you could think back to a time where you were doing something and like time just didn't exist for you, like it's like it doesn't even exist. You're so consumed by this thing, whatever that is, and you're so focused on it, nothing else matters. That's how you can tell. That's one. Number 2, it is possible to have multiple passions. So this is not like you get one passion per lifetime. You have multiple. I've had several passions. I went through different periods of time where it was my passion. I was just like so focused on it, where it was like a natural motivation. No one had to tell me to do it. No one had to encourage me. I would wake up in the morning thinking about it, and that's all I would be focused on. I mean, my current passion, honestly, is you guys. You guys are my current passion. This is what I eat, breathe, sleep. It's constantly. If you ask my wife, she'll tell you. This is all I talk about, literally. That's how you can tell a passion. And you notice something whenever you're in your passion. So a couple of things I mentioned. Time doesn't exist. Also, you notice that you just have an insane amount of inspiration. It's just almost like when you wake up, you just have so many ideas just coming left and right. It's like idea after idea. It's just like overload so many ideas. So that also tells you you're in your passion. And then the final thing is you have this extreme amount of excitement. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about these higher levels of emotion. We talked about how inspiration, excitement, happiness, these are high levels of motivation because these are the ingredients to you doing whatever it is. So if you look at anything major that happened, any invention or creation, all of these people were passionate. They had an extreme amount of motivation and inspiration and happiness and excitement around this thing. So that's what it is for me right now is you guys. At the time, it was orthodontics. I remember being in residency, learning about the teeth and how to straighten them. And this is what I just talked about for everyone. Everything I would do would be associated with teeth. You guys may think that's weird, but it was. I really like teeth. So your passion changes. So I hope that answered your question, my friend Daniel. If it doesn't, definitely text me some more. All right. How can you tell who your true friends are? That's a great question. Thank you, Alexis. I think it's a wonderful question. Thanks for asking that. How can you tell a true friends? Now, I will say this. It's important before you know about friendships and who the true friends are. It's important to know your values. All right. So I'm not sure if you guys have ever taken some time to ponder the idea of value. So what is a value? So a value is some things you can learn values, but a lot of it, there's something that's internal. It's just the way that you see life and the rules of which you see life. They're basically your own set of rules. So for instance, I'll use myself. So one of my values is family. It's a high level. If I had to like rank my top 10 values, family would probably be like 2 or 3. And what that means to me is that everything I do is influenced by that value. So family is very important to me. Now, is family the top value for everyone? No, it's not. Think about it. Some people value money as number one. So in other words, they would prefer to give all of their time towards money while neglecting the family. So this is important for you guys to know because you are children, right? So this should allow you to forgive your parents. So if any one of you guys experiencing a parent right now who like you just feel like doesn't care about you. This parent doesn't love me. They don't care about me. I'm not important to them. I want you almost to rethink that because that's not necessarily true. What's true is their value system. People operate according to their values. And guess what? We all have different values. There's no right or wrong answers to this by any means. There's no right or wrong answers. For me, family is important, but that doesn't mean that it's important for everybody and it doesn't have to be, right? That's just my value. So in your case, I would use my example, my dad. I remember growing up for a long time, I felt like he just didn't care about the family because he was always gone. I saw my dad when I was younger, but as soon as I get to middle school, I saw him on weekends. That was it. And I remember thinking like, he doesn't love me. Clearly, he doesn't. My mom loves him. She's always here. But as I start to understand life and I understand people and human nature, I start to realize like, wait a minute. Of course he loves us. It was just his value. His value was work. That was what his value is. He felt like hard work. The more you work, the more meaning you had in life. That was his value. That was his set of rules, his mental rules. So he wanted to feel meaningful in life. So he worked as much as possible. And he still loved me. But I'm sharing this with you so that you could kind of understand things are not always as they seem. Okay? So hopefully some of that can help some of you guys forgive a parent if they have not been present. All right, so directly answer Alexa's question, how do you know who your friends are? Well, you have to understand your values. All right, so if you know your values, you know what's important to you, then you can make decisions on your values. So one value is respect. So your definition or my definition or anyone's definition of respect could be like, hey, tell me the truth, speak kindly to me, don't like make fun of me in front of other people. That could be your value of respect. So if you have a friend that's doing that, well, then you could consider that friend not your true friend, right? Because they don't meet your value. So I don't think that there's a necessarily right or wrong answer to who is your true friend. Obviously, we all can agree on certain things. A friend should not treat you like trash, right? Like we know that. A friend should be there for you when times are hard. But ultimately, it comes down to your values. So like last week, someone shared that they had a friend and then the friend told all of their business, like to everybody, and she was crushed. So if trust is a high value for you and a friend does that, well, then that's probably not the best friend for you. Because you know why? Because to that friend, that's not their top value. Does that make sense to you? If it's making sense, give me a thumbs up. Is that making sense to you guys? Okay, thank you. So it's not about who's a bad person. So I want you guys to get that out of your mind. Like, oh, this is a terrible person. They're horrible. They're a horrible person. It's not always like that. It's not always about who are the bad people in life. It's about their values. And a lot of times our experiences of the past, a lot of things kind of influence our values. All right. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah. So as far as your friends, you make the decision. Who are your true friends? You make that decision. Does this friend honor my values? Now, another question is, have I expressed my values to my friend? Because to her, telling our business is not that big of a deal. Hey, who cares? Who cares what people think? You can tell them about my business. It's okay. I don't care. That could be how she sees things. But if you express to her, say, listen, you can't tell anybody. And this is so super important to me. I trust you as a friend. Please keep this information confidential. It's a high value of mine. Okay, well, then you can make the decision. All right, let's go next one. I'm starting to get into Twitch streaming, but I am behind in my classes, which limits me to how much I can stream. How can I make time to stream and do all the work at the same time? Man, this is a great question. You guys are bringing them on. I'm glad I did this Q&A because see, at first I was worried. At first I thought I was going to hear birds. When it's quiet, it's like, chirp, chirp, chirp. That's what I thought I was going to hear. But you guys are bringing the questions. All right, here we go. So did this person about Twitch streaming, they realized that they're behind on their classes. So, this is something what we call time management, essentially. Now, I have an entire series on time management, but I do want to share some information with you about that. And many of you may find yourself in this position. to say that, okay, I know what I need to do is here, which is school. All of you guys, you're not getting out of school, so don't try it. All right. This is your responsibility as a child, as a teenager, is you have to do school. Just like me, my responsibility is I have to provide for my family. My wife stays at home with the kiddos. I have 2 boys, Isaiah and Jeremiah. They're 1 and 3. Her responsibility is providing for the kids, making sure they're safe, making sure they're getting all that they need. She's teaching them. We're going to do homeschooling, things like that. Mine is to provide, protect the family, all that. So that is my responsibility. Okay. I can say now, I cannot neglect this. Well, that's what you guys have to see school as. You can't neglect it, honestly. This is your responsibility. Now, everything else you want to do is over here. This is responsibility. You have to do it. No questions asked. And this here is fluid. You can just kind of do what you want. So you really have to look at time management. And the easiest way to do this is to break down your days. All right. I know I'm sleeping for 8 hours. Right. So you can just chop 8 hours out of your day, out of 24. Then you're like, hey, I know I go to school for 8 hours. I don't know how long you guys go to school. Chop that out your day. Throw it away. And you're left with a certain amount of time. So then you have to look at your time. What is important to you? Okay, I need to do Twitch streaming. So I'm going to dedicate 2 hours to Twitch. I'm going to dedicate an hour to eat dinner with my family. I'm going to dedicate 2 hours for video games, just pure fun. Okay, put that here. You see what I'm saying? So I think the problem that most people find when they are struggling with time and squeezing things in is there's no schedule. They just kind of just wake up and just do stuff, right? And as you're just going through your day doing things, time will fly. But if you're very intentional, that's a key word, is intentional about what you do with your time, then you would realize there's actually a lot of time in a day, to be honest. There actually is a lot of time. I do this too, so I don't want to just get onto you. But there's times I just catch myself, and I actually catch myself because we know who's in control of the mind. That's why I say I catch myself. But I catch myself having like a window of time for like 10 minutes. I just pick up my phone and I just go through Instagram and just start scrolling, looking at pictures. I'm just trying to fill in this gap of like boredom or something. I don't know what it is, but I literally catch myself. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Get to work, put it down, and I go do something. All right. So to answer your question, if you want to have more time for Twitch, remember your priority, your responsibility. School is your responsibility. And there's many reasons for that because, that is what, as a teenager, that gives you so much opportunity for your future is if you could do well in school. Not to mention, raise your hand if you enjoy your parents on your back about grades and homework and school. Who likes that? Raise your hand. Oh man, somebody actually likes it. He said, kind of. Maybe it's like, maybe you must be doing well in school. That's why you like it. But I'm saying for many of you guys, you're tired of the talking. Like, did you do your homework? Did you turn this in? If you don't want that, just do your work. You don't have to hear it at all. Your parents would not say anything about it if you were just on top of it. So to answer your question, this is priority. So when you're like working on your schedule and you're working on time management, hey, you got to commit to this first. School's first. All right, let's get that clear. Make sure we're all clear. Like me, trust me, I want to watch. I'm going to tell you this real quick. Before I had kids, I literally watched all football games. All right, that's Monday night, Thursday night, Saturday college all day, Sunday. My wife hated it. But I'm like, baby, I have to see these games. I do. Trust me, I need to see them. Man, I'm telling you, the minute we had kids, I haven't watched the game since. I'm just telling you that now. I haven't watched one football game from beginning to ending since. Now, I do on my occasional breaks in between. I look at Sports Center and stuff like that on my YouTube. But I haven't watched the game since. And the reason is because of this. What I'm telling you, I have a responsibility. There's only so much time in a day. And, after taking care of my responsibility, providing for the family, all that, I need to spend time with my kids. I want to, actually. I want to spend time with my kids. It's fun for me. So I'm like, hey, football, take a back seat. That's what my decision I made. So I'm telling you guys, so if you want to do Twitch, if you want to do football, whatever you're trying to do, school's first, and then dedicate some time to whatever you want to do, all right? Now, the final thing about this point, and like I said, I have a whole series on this, so we'll get into it. But another advantage of creating these little schedules for yourself is that you can learn efficiency. Oh, man, it's a beautiful thing. Right now, you think something takes you as long as it takes you. You think this. You think it takes you an hour to do math homework. Most of you think that. You know why? Because it's been taking you an hour to do homework. But there's something beautiful about trying to be efficient. Looking at this hour and say, okay, it's been taking me an hour to learn this information. What can I do to bring this hour to 45 minutes? Maybe it's turning my phone off. Maybe it's going to a quiet place. Maybe it's a time of the day. I'm actually better doing homework early in the morning before school than like late at night when I'm tired and done for the day. All right. So you start to figure out efficiency when you know how much time it takes you to do something. So I hope you guys know that. So I hope that answers your question, my friend. If it doesn't, text some more. All right, next one. How do I achieve happiness? I like it. It's a great one. All right. So how do you achieve happiness? I'm going to tell you guys something. This is going to be very, very simple, but very profound. So how do you achieve happiness? So happiness is a feeling or an emotion. You can call it an emotion. How often, I want you guys to answer the question by typing it in the chat. How often do we have access to our emotions? How often? What do you think? 24/7. See, I knew Kelly was going to get on this. She's one of the fast fingers, man. She gives answers. Andrew says all the time. Kyle says all the time. You guys are absolutely right. So if you have access to any emotion anytime you want, how then do you achieve happiness? You tap into that emotion. All right. So how do you do that? One is focus. Life is about focus. When you're focusing on something, that is what we call life for that moment. And then you focus on something else, that's life for that moment. So right now, you guys are focused on me talking. Although in your mind, you're probably somewhere else, but right now you're focused on me talking. So I'm going to tell you, if you want to be happy, you have to learn how to shift your focus. So let's talk about it. Wake up in the morning. You could focus on, I got to do all this work today. This is stupid. I don't want to go to school. I'm tired. Oh, man. Right? Because right now, at that point, you're focusing on like school and how long it's going to be and how you're tired. You're feeling tired. But what happens if you shift your focus to something exciting? Or you get excited. What happens if you shift your focus to something you're looking forward to that day? Think about it. How many of you were excited right before vacation? Almost all of you, right? Your parents will say, hey, we're going to Disneyland. Are we going to, the Bahamas? Are we going here? And all of a sudden you get excited, right? You're happy. You're feeling happiness. You know why? Because you shift your focus on that. So that is the easiest way to experience happiness right away. Right now, if I asked you guys to tell me about the time you laughed the hardest with your friend, the hardest you've ever laughed before. Tell me about a time. If you start to think about that, you will start to feel happiness. So that's number one. Number two, how do you live a life of happiness, essentially? And I think that's very important. It's something that we talk about. If you're in the Confidence Transformation Coaching Program, you're going to hear about it in week 5, I think. But we talk about this life of happiness where like every day is at a happy level. Now, does it mean that every part of your life will be extremely happy? No. But it does mean that a majority of your life, you're going to be happy. You know why? Think about this much. How often do tragedies happen for you as a person? How often? Not often. You look at most people's life, they're not experiencing tragedies every single day. So they're not experiencing, I'm talking about true tragedies, losing a loved one, an injury that's like a life-threatening injury, that changes the course of everything. Some major change in, maybe for you guys as a parents to get a divorce. Maybe that's a big thing for you. How often do we experience that every single day? We don't. Those are like those little events that happen along the way of your life. Well, guess what? It would be different if you was happy all the time, and then all of a sudden your parents get divorced, and then you experience some sadness, or you lose a family member, and then you experience some mourning. That would be different. But that's not the case for most people. Most people is like happy, kind of depressed, happy a little bit, sad, mad, irritated, happy a little bit, mad, sad, And guess what? All the things that we were happy or upset, irritated, annoyed, depressed, all of that has to do with a mindset. Now, yes, you can experience some of this depression from like a hormonal imbalance and all that, but that's not the majority of you, I can tell you now. So don't use that excuse. But a lot of it's mindset. It's literally mindset. You're thinking about things that make you unhappy. One thing that you do all the time is predict unhappiness. Once I realized I had control of my mind, that's the thing that blew my mind. You're predicting unhappiness. I'm going to explain to you. You go to school and you're walking through the hallway and you see nobody's talking to you. In your mind, you're already predicting this is going to be a terrible school year. How do you make that decision? How is that possible? You had one day. How are you going to say that's a terrible school year? You ever heard of that? Like, hey, how was your day? I had a bad week. How is that possible? No way. I'm not believing that, right? Because they're focused on the negatives. Oh, man, my mom yelled at me. I didn't do well in my schoolwork. I tried, but she yelled at me anyway. Is that a reason, if you think about it, to just ruin your whole week. No. Maybe you do something wrong when she takes your phone. Oh my gosh, I have no phone. I have no life for the rest of my life. My life is over. That is 100% you trying to just guess on the future. In the next 5 minutes, something amazing could literally happen to you. Think about it. Now, imagine if you could shift your focus to be excited about the next 5 minutes or the next day or just something that's coming up in your future. Then you're going to experience happiness. Like I say, if you are in that program, week 5, I talk a lot about happiness. All right, next. Let's see. This person said, how long have you been a life coach? Oh, cool. I've been a life coach for about 4.5 years. So I'm gonna just tell you a quick story. If you don't know my story, I am an orthodontist. That's my training. So for all you guys talking about school, I was there so I could talk about it. I did high school. And then I did 11 years after high school. 11, all right? Some of you are just 11. I did 11 years of school after that. I did 4 years of college, 4 years of dental school, and I did 3 years of residency to be an orthodontist. So I know all about school. I know all about studying and grades and SATs and all this stuff. I know it all. So I was practicing, and my desire was to develop confidence in teenagers. And one experience I had where mom asked me to remove the braces off of her daughter. I just put them on too. So I'm like, hey, what happened? You know? And the mom was like, hey, she's suffering from an eating disorder. She has a very low body image issue, and we need to get her therapy. So she went through therapy for like 6 to 8 months, no help, no change. All right. And some of you probably experienced therapy before. And, therapy is great for support, but there's no transformation. So then she went to therapy again for another 6 months, no change. So her mom was like, hey, I know you mentor teenagers. Can you just talk to her? I'm like, of course, I'll talk to her. I'm talking with her. And then immediately the second session, I realized something. It reminded me of the time I had my first experience with a life coach, because I had a life coach in dental school. Because I understood and I learned that a life coach can help you literally flip the switch in your mind so that you can achieve anything you want. So I experienced this. I was like, hey, mom, she needs a life coach. And then we searched, we looked, there was no life coaches for teenagers. So at that point, I'm a Christian and I'm always praying and I believe that God called me to do it. So I did it. So I went through the certification program. And then the reason why I knew I was on the right path, 1 month, she stopped suffering from body image issues. 1 month, no longer had an eating disorder. So I was like, that is my calling. I've been doing it ever since. So thanks for the question. How can I tell if someone is not trustworthy? It was a good question. So this person said, how do you know? How do you know if someone is not trustworthy? How do you know that? Well, I would say first you have to define trustworthy. Like I say, remember, the theme so far in this time together is values, okay? So value, remember that. I want you to start seeing people differently. I don't want you to start seeing people the same. This person's mean. They're a jerk. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. Try not to see it that way, because when you start to see other people that way, you won't feel that excited, just to be honest. Perfect example. If I ask someone, how is life? Describe life for me. And a person say, life is hard. Now, if someone described life as hard, do you think they're really enjoying life, or is life tough? Life is tough. But if you say life is amazing, it's exciting, there's so many opportunities, then you see that person really enjoys life. And that's how I see life. I see opportunity after opportunity, excitement after excitement. I mean, I just see so much possibility in his life. But if you're like, oh, life is hard, man. School is hard. It's boring. You're not enjoying life. I'm telling you now. So first is you need to define trustworthiness. What's trustworthy to you, my friend, is different than what it is to me, to somebody else. Once you know your value of being trustworthy, you then have to communicate that to the person that you're in a relationship with. That makes sense? You have to communicate that because we don't have the same definition. You and I could be friends and I do something, all of a sudden you get mad at me. I'm like, what happened? What did I do? It's just because my definition is different than your definition. So you need to communicate to me, what is your definition of trustworthiness? And then after you've communicated that definition, and they understand, because communication is more than just talking, but just because you're talking doesn't mean the person's listening. So you got to make sure they understand what your definition of trustworthy is. And then you can make the decision if they're trustworthy for you, not a person. We're not attacking them as a person. You don't ever want to tell somebody you're not trustworthy, because ultimately it's like, listen, by your definition that I never knew, you could say I'm not trustworthy, but I'm a trustworthy person. So you have to communicate your definition, make sure they understand it. And if they violate that, then for you, they're not trustworthy compared to your definition. And then you can make your decision. You help them become trustworthy because you really enjoy the relationship and you find value in the relationship, or you just move on. Say, hey, we don't have to be friends. And that's okay too. So there's no right or wrong answer. All right, next. How do you stay motivated when you feel like it's so much work that you feel exhausted by the end of the day? Yes, how to stay motivated. Much of you have been on these Sunday sessions the past 3 weeks. If you're in the Confidence Transformation Coaching Program, we talk about it on week 7. But I talked a little bit about it 2 weeks ago on Sundays. The ones on the call, you guys know the trick. Motivation, how you stay motivated is you have to, remember, we have access to a bunch of emotions. So this is all of our emotions. We have a big bag full of emotions. You have to take an emotion, attach it to the task, whatever task you're working on, and that's how you stay motivated. So that's the simplest answer to motivation is you have to attach an emotion to the task because we're emotional creatures. Oftentimes you hear it, you're emotional, especially girls. You hear it probably a lot. You're so emotional. Well, guess what? We're all emotional. We are emotional creatures. Everything we do, literally everything, I don't care what it is, we are doing it for a feeling or emotion. We want to feel good, essentially. And the reason why someone can do something so harmful to themselves, right? Because think about it, it's not logical to want to hurt yourself. It's not logical, right? But plenty of people do it. The reason they do it is because they have attached an emotion to the task or whatever duty they're doing or whatever action they're taking, and they've attached it to that action. So it comes to the point where self-harm has become almost satisfying in a sense. It's because they have taken an emotion and attached it to the action, and they're motivated to do it, right? So if you want to be motivated to do anything, and I'm hoping you're talking about school and maybe sports and motivating yourself to personal development, you have to attach an emotion to that. So my program is confidence related, right? So I'm trying to help everyone become extremely, extremely confident. That means confidence socially, as far as academics, and as far as your hobbies or sports or extracurricular activities. It could be a gift like singing. I want you to be unbelievably confident. And the way that I'm getting you guys to be confident is by attaching an emotion to that. So in week 3, I believe week 3 or 4, I can't remember. We talk about a carrot. A carrot, something that's dangling in front of you that makes you want to go after it. You have to attach an emotion to whatever you're doing because guess what? You're going to naturally do it. It's that simple. And guess what? If you attach the emotion of like boredom, pain, it's hard. If you attach that to something, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to naturally want to do it. So it's that simple. We're just like little dogs, right? You give your dog a treat. Hey, Scruffy, spin around. Okay, here's a treat. Spin around. Here's a treat. And guess what? After doing that a bunch of times, he spins around, he gets a treat, right? We're the same way. I'm telling you, we're the same way. We're emotional. You get on TikTok, and some people start to follow you and comment. It makes you feel good. So more TikTok. Just selfie with Instagram and put a picture on. Whoa, hey friends, guess what? 200 likes. I'm gonna put some more, right? Because you've attached some type of emotion to that, and it makes you want to do it naturally. Hope that helps. All right, next. What are some good, productive hobbies you enjoy when you're not working? Oh, that's a great question. Hey, I will say this. It makes me feel so special when you guys ask about me because it makes me feel like you care. So thank you for that. My friend Mason, I appreciate you asking that question. What do I like to do? What are some hobbies I do when I'm not working? Skiing is one of my favorite hobbies to do. We travel, not now because of COVID, but usually we travel every year to go skiing, usually to Utah. I love Utah. So I like to do that. I love cycling, riding bikes. I mean, not long term, but more like, mountain biking. I think that's pretty fun. Believe it or not, I love this personal development stuff. I know it's my job, but it literally is a hobby of mine. I love learning about the mind and how you can just do so much with your mind and how I have full control over how I feel. Full control. I'm telling you, I do this. I'm human just like you. So sometimes I get annoyed and all of a sudden I catch myself. I'll be like the record back in the day. I'm like, wait a minute. We know what emotions are for. Emotions are here to tell us a message. I got the message. It's time to move on. So I really enjoy that. Now, as far as like fun stuff, I like to work out, weightlifting, playing with my boys is like really a big joy for me. Just kind of roughhousing. So yeah, it's pretty much what I do for fun, believe it or not. At this moment, 'cause remember, we change. I used to be really big on basketball. I love basketball. So I had 2 knee surgeries and a slip disc in my back. So no more basketball. But I like watching it. And in fact, I'm watching my favorite players, LeBron James. I watched him crush the Denver Nuggets last night. It was amazing. Triple-double, 38, 16, and 10. Okay. All right, I'll keep going because I'll talk all day about LeBron. All right, so it says, do you train coaches? I do train coaches. Back to my story, I'm one of the few that specializes in teenagers. Most of the coaches, they focus on adults. And I feel like the teenage years are tough. You guys need it more than anyone, I believe, because you are the future, right? Like you have the most potential out of anybody. So yes, I train coaches to coach teenagers. All right. Also, how can I get better at Guitar Hero? That's a funny one, but practice makes perfect. So keep practicing. One of my passions is to go to the America's Got Talent. That's dope. Seeing Natural Woman by Aretha Franklin and get a golden. That is amazing. All right. So I'm going to tell you about this. So I like this, what Alexa just said. You know why? Because I believe everyone, and this is actually what I prepared to tell you guys if there would have been no questions, right? Because I was prepared. If you guys didn't ask me any questions, we're going to talk about something. But this is what I'm going to talk about. I think it's very important for every one of you to get in a habit of believing and trying to pursue the impossible. Or when I say the impossible, things that you don't believe is possible. I want you guys to get in a habit of believing that you can do that. So right now, Alexis says, my passion is to go on America's Got Talent, sing Natural Woman by Aretha Franklin, and get the golden buzzer. Now, if she was to tell a bunch of people that, people would be looking like, oh, that's nice. But in their head, they're like, girl, you know you're not going there, right? They don't believe it. They're like, oh, that's a stupid dream. Oh, what you talking about? Somebody says a little 5'2" guy, I want to go make it to the NBA. People are looking like, yeah, you're not going to make it, right? But that's what I want you guys to do. Get in a habit of dreaming big. And the reason why is this. You can achieve it. That's just that simple. I talked to you guys about this analogy I use as far as I live in Austin. And I said, could you walk to Austin? Each one of you, the answer is absolutely yes, because you know how to walk. Like if you know how to walk, then that's different. We could talk about maybe cycling to Austin, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, if you can walk to Austin. Now, why is it that you believe you can't walk to Austin? Because your mind starts to convince you to not do it. It starts to say, well, first of all, I can't walk that far. I don't even know where I'm going. I'm terrible with directions. I may get hit by a car. I mean, all these things start coming, and it's called fear. So fear creates all these excuses. And I'm sure Alexis has experienced it. But I know Alexis is in a different place for her to even say it to me, for her to say it to everybody. Because notice she didn't do it in the private chat. She told it to everybody, right? So that means she has some conviction about what she wants. And I want you guys to get in the habit of doing the same thing. So as you're thinking about the things that you want and the things that you want in the future, if your goal is not impossible, in the sense that other people are like, you're not doing that. I'm sure the same thing, the first person who created the car. You guys know all this history stuff. The car, the plane, the light bulb, all this stuff. People are probably laughing at them like, no, you're crazy. You can't do that. Guess what? They did it. So I'm telling you, I want you to do that because the only thing that's going to hold you back is fear. Fear starts to give you excuses left and right, like Alexis. You can't sing. Oh, yeah, you can sing okay, but you're not good enough. Oh, you don't have enough money to even try to get there. Oh, whatever. You're too short, like tall girls. I mean, all type of stuff start going through our head, right? And this is something that you must be prepared for. So when I have a goal, I'm prepared for it. So it doesn't catch me off guard. Because you know what I do? I say, okay, I want this. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait. That's what I do. I'm serious. I say, I'll wait. I'll sit back. I'll grab some water. I'm like, come on, mind. Tell me your excuses. I'm listening. That's what I literally do. I'm like, come on. Oh, that's all you get? Give me more. This is how I handle this. You know why? Because I realize that I'm not my mind. My mind is here to protect me. And the easiest way to protect me is to keep me where I'm at. There's not taking any chances. Hey, you stay where you at. Don't do anything crazy now. I'm worried. I don't know if you're going to be able to handle the emotion that comes with failure. So I question my mind. I say, mind, give it to me. I'm ready. I'm listening. And I still go for it. All right. So that's what I want you guys. So great job, Alexis. Thanks for sharing me that. What is the best way to concentrate or focus when doing something? All right. Perfect. So a couple of things I want to share with you guys. One, and we talked about this and I didn't do it with you today. I should have. You have to shift positions. Your mind can only focus for so long. It's going to start going. All right. It's going to start wandering all over the place. So you want to get in a habit of interrupting the focus. The easiest way to interrupt the focus is shift. Like right now, everybody shift. I'm going to just do this. I'm just stand up. Okay. It's a quick shift. All right. I'm coming back. All right. That little bit of movement is bringing me back to focus again. So I can choose to focus on what I want to focus on now. So get in the habit of shifting. Another thing you want to do, this may sound like boring to you guys, but meditation helps. It really does. Meditation can help you with focus. So if you guys do not understand meditation, it doesn't have to be the like hardcore, like, like you don't have to do all that, okay? You don't have to do any of that for meditation. You don't have to be a guru. All you need to do is practice on focusing on your task. That's all you have to do. We call it mindfulness. Now you could do some, close your eyes meditation, breathing meditation. There's so many different ways to meditate. But in my experience with teenagers, I can't say something too weird because you'd be like, hey, this guy's weird. He's talking about closing my eyes and, no. What I found for teenagers is mindfulness is something that you guys, at least in my experience, that you're okay with. All right. So mindfulness is a form of meditation. All that means is practicing doing whatever you're doing. So for instance, I'm about to drink water. So if I want to practice mindfulness, I'm going to focus all of my attention on this water. I'm going to focus on me grabbing it. I'm going to focus on me tasting it. I'm actually try to taste the water. This may seem weird, but water has a taste. At least for me, I drink a lot of water. I can taste it. But I'm actually taste the water. I'm going to swallow. I'm going to feel myself swallowing. All right. I'm focused. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about the next day. I'm not worried about who's laughing at me right now because I know somebody is. It's okay. All right, here we go. All right. So that quick little thing was a practice of mindfulness. So I want you guys to do the same thing. When you're walking outside, try to focus on the breeze. Just focus on the breeze. Every time you feel the breeze, say, okay, I acknowledge the breeze. Okay. Focus on the birds that's chirping. All right. You may hear some birds in the background. When you're in your room, say the washing machine makes a funny noise. Just focus on the washing machine. Focus on that, right? Because what that does is it gets you in practice to focus. And then when you start practicing focusing, guess what? You become pretty good at focusing. And when it's time for class and your teacher's talking and write on that chalkboard, you could shift your position or you can do your practicing. Okay, I'm back focused again. So it's practicing, all right? Now, as a teacher, we try to do our best to make it entertaining because we do know that monotone, man, doesn't work. I had a teacher that was monotone. Yes, you do this. It's 2 + 2. That's hard, man. It's hard. I know. But you got to practice on focusing. All right, next is listening to music during school bad. Okay, that's a question. All right. Is listening to music during school bad? Really, it comes down to the rules first. So if they allow you to listen to music, then I don't see anything wrong with it. I wouldn't say it's good or bad. Let me explain this to you. How do we know what's good or bad? Think about that. How do we know? What is good or bad? Can we all agree on what's bad? Every last one of us on everything. We can't. All right. Because we all remember what I talked about. We all have different values. We all were raised differently. We all have different beliefs. We talk about belief systems. We all have different experiences. So what's good for me may be bad to you and vice versa. All right. I'll give you an example. So I'm a Christian who believes that I should not eat unclean animals. So what we call as unclean animals in the Bible, you see a lot of Jews usually do this because it's more Old Testament. But I believe as a Christian, I believe I'm not supposed to do it either. So I don't eat pork, pig, any of that kind of stuff. No lobster, shrimp. I don't eat that stuff. Now I'm a vegetarian now, but then I didn't eat it. So in my mind, according to my beliefs, I think those animals are unclean, so we shouldn't eat them. So when I see someone eating, and I'm not going to say you guys, but my family member, when I first started believing this, my wife, she liked bacon. So my interpretation of that was bacon is bad. Now she doesn't eat it because we've already talked about all that stuff. But essentially, when I first learned this in the scriptures, I started to view my wife eating bacon as bad. Now I don't judge other people. Somebody else can eat it, it's fine. I'm just saying, for my household, I view it as bad. Now, all of you are looking at me like, wait a minute, bacon is good. Like, what are you talking about, RJ? It's good. So that's an example of what is good or bad. It's based on our beliefs, our values, our experiences, our interpretations. All these things determine what's good or bad. Now, with that said, you guys are teenagers. So whatever your mom said is bad, is bad. Whatever your mom said is good, is good. Don't push the limit. I don't recommend it. Same thing, whatever you are going into school. Whatever they say is good, whatever they say bad is bad. And you're going to notice in life in general, like for me, I like to drive a little faster than the speed limit. And I don't think anything is wrong with it. I'm an amazing driver, but the rules say you cannot speed or you get a ticket. So I try to obey the law. So that's how life works. All right, cool. How do we handle a situation when someone betrays you and you don't want to stoop to their level and get revenge. Oh, I like this. I like this. What is the right way to handle it? First of all, give me a high five, whoever did that one. Right there. Give it to me. Don't leave me hanging. Come on. That is a great question, and I'm glad she brought it up. All right. So the question is, first of all, I like how she said, I don't want to stoop to their level. All right. I like that because you don't have to stoop to people's level. How do you handle that? Somebody straight up betrayed you. Bam, betrayed you. Oh, it hurts. And you want to get them back. All right. She was honest. That's human nature. Somebody does something to you, I want to do it back. That is human nature. And if you did not feel that way, I would tell you to check your brain because that's natural to feel that way. All right. It's natural. But we know, since you guys have a life coach and since you're learning all these cool things of the mind, you know you don't have to follow human nature. You know that. That's why they always talk about like forgiveness. You ever hear the word forgiveness and they say how powerful it is? Because it goes against nature, right? That's why it's so powerful. When you truly forgive someone who's harmed you, it goes against nature. But guess what? Each one of us have the ability to go against nature, to go against the natural tendencies. So I'm going to say in this situation, if someone hurts you, yes, it's natural to want to hurt them back. But do you have to do that? You don't, because you guys know how to overcome the mind. So how do you handle that? It depends. All right. If somebody hurts you, how do you handle it? It depends. Just think back to why you feel the way you feel. And emotion is here to give us a message. All right. So when someone hurts you, you feel bad. You feel hurt, defeated. You feel betrayed. Those are all feelings. The feeling is there to give you a message. And what is the message? This person hurt me, essentially. So you get two options. You can either do something about it or accept it and let it go. It's your choice. There's no right or wrong answer. Now, if you say, what's the right way of handling, I'm going to tell you, if it's someone that you care about, if it's someone that you love, I would recommend, this is my personal recommendation, don't mean you have to do this. I recommend having to communicate about it, talk to them about it. Because as we learned today, if you haven't learned anything today, there's one thing you know, and that is values. I want you guys to learn values. I don't want you to be looking at other people as being evil people and horrible people. It's their value system. Everyone's value system is different. And the way you, if you're in a relationship, to get people to respect your values is communicating those, because we can't read minds. I cannot read your mind. So if someone betrayed you, we need to understand maybe they didn't see it as betrayal. It's possible. Or maybe they betrayed you because they thought you betrayed them and they didn't have a life coach to help them know that they can go above the mind. That's possible. So the best way to handle that is communication. And then after the communication, you guys make whatever decision you want to make. Whatever communication, you make that decision. So I hope that helped. So if you care about the relationship, talk to them. You can express your values and then see if you guys can work that out. But if not, if they hurt you and they don't want to hear what you have to say about it, I mean, the next step, you could either have peace. It's called acceptance. Accepting the things that you can't control and move on with your life. All right. So this person asked, what is the best thing I've trained my mind to do? And I'm going to be honest. My cold water plunges, I think they are brutal. They are. But my mind is so rock solid. I do it. I'm telling you. I think it's the coolest thing. I can literally stay in 40-degree water for up to 14 minutes. I don't want to experience hypothermia. It's a real thing. But I stay in about 14 minutes because usually about 15 minutes you start experiencing hypothermia. But I stay about 14 minutes. And I tell my mind, you can keep talking, but I ain't listening. I am staying. So I jump in that water and my mind's like, get out, it's cold. Oh, it's horrible. What am I doing? And I'm like, that's fine. Keep talking. I'm listening, but I'm staying. And I do that because it helps me remind myself that I am in control. My mind doesn't control me. I'm the one driving the ship. Okay. I'm the one doing this. I control my mind. All right. So that's why I do it. But no, I think that's pretty cool. And obviously you guys know about my salad story and I trained my mind to like reading because at first I didn't, things like that. All right. Now, Alexis, I will say this. I have about 5 minutes left. If you want to sing for us, I'm not going to tell you can't do it. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. If you want to sing, the floor, the microphone, all you have to do is hit unmute. You can let us have it. Go ahead and sing for us if you want to. No pressure. No pressure. But if you want to sing, you can sing. Alexa says she's good. She don't want to sing for you guys yet, but she will. And if you guys have some special talents, you got to let me know because I'm going to put you on the spot. Just tell me. All right, here we go. So Alexa says, how do you keep people from getting close to you without them touching you. So I guess she's asking is like, hey, there's some people in her school, they're very friendly and they like to touch on people and all that kind of stuff. Once again, it's about a value system. And some of it's cultural too, right? Certain cultures, they're generally closer to one another. So they like touch a lot, they hug a lot. You may see this in the Hispanic culture. So if any of you are Hispanic out there, you probably know what I'm talking about. Certain cultures, they're really close, they touch. But there's other cultures, they keep distance. I'm not sure if any of you are Japanese, but in Japanese culture, you have a respectful distance. Some of it's culture, how they were raised. So if you feel like the same person is kind of invading your space, what could you do? And you say you already asked them to stop. So I would say communication is more than just talking. Communication is more than telling someone, giving someone a command. So I want you guys to remember that. Just because you're saying something doesn't mean the other person is listening. It doesn't mean the other person is understanding you. It doesn't mean the other person is having the correct interpretation about what you're saying. That's why there's so much conflict. I'm telling you guys, so much conflict in relationships because all these things are happening. It's interpretation. Am I paying attention? I have my own values that you know nothing about. I have my own past experiences that you know nothing about. So it's hard for me to understand everything you're sharing with me. So if you have told this person, hey, you're getting a little too close for me, they may not receive that. And if you try the mean way, hey, don't touch me again. I'm gonna tell the teacher. That may not work. You have to just change your communication. And the best way to communicate to make sure that someone understands you is by asking questions. So if you ask questions, then you know exactly where their mind's at. Does that make sense? So ask questions. Hey, what do you enjoy about touching my shoulder? Ask questions. That's how you can truly understand where their mind is at. And then it'll make sense. All right, my friends, that's all the time we have today. I enjoyed this. I think next week we'll do a part 2. I'll let you guys, we'll go again for some Q&A and see what you guys come up with. But thanks so much. I enjoyed you. Thanks for paying attention. You guys are amazing. You are my passion. I'm looking forward to seeing you some more. I hope you enjoy listening to the group coaching session. And I also hope that you are able to learn something that would help strengthen the relationship between you and your teenager. Until next time, this is a teen's perspective, helping parents see the future.